All right, everybody, once again, welcome back to the PCS Spring Playoffs. And whoo boy, we have an absolute series on our hands with a 1-1 draw right now in this best of 5 series between Mega Bank Beyond Gaming and Deep Cross. Before we get into the pregame analysis here for game number 3, Clement, I do want to take a moment to shout out our wonderful sponsors. Again, they are CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible, as always. And Clement, it does seem like everything is possible in this series. We've seen all sorts of ridiculousness from both these squads, and Deep Cross just finding an opening to close out a game so fast. I feel like Beyond may have not known what hit them.
Yeah, it was definitely a shock and awe operation in the very last team fight. We are going to move on to the third game, and this is one of the first times that we are going to get side selection from Beyond Gaming. Actually, the first time they will get side selection, and they are going to go for blue side. The way I read this is Minji's redemption game. In the previous game, I don't think his Twisted Fate really did that much because it compared to his usual Assassins, it's a lot less of an explosive pick. So I think the blue side really signals a very clear preference for the Ahri first pick coming in. If you think about the bans that have gone through so far, it's pretty much guaranteed that we will see Akali, Tryndamere, and Zeri being banned out by DCG on the red side. So that does leave the first pick Ahri open for Minji to go on.
Yeah, I wonder if this doesn't change things a little bit for Deep Cross if they opt to ban the Ahri instead of the Akali. I mean, we've obviously seen a lot of both of those picks coming through in that particular situation. But, you know, it does feel like it's kind of hard to win that, and Beyond are going to be hoping to try and get Minji onto a preferred champion. I feel like we've seen these mid laners at their peaks and at their troughs in this series, and there's only been 2 games.
I would have to agree with you, and this has been the thing for both of these mid laners, especially I think for DCG down the split. You know, past week 4, they haven't won against a top 5 team. So, you know, Nesty has been very hit or miss, I feel like, in the back half of the split, and the same has definitely been true for Minji. I predict that the Ahri has to go over, or they could just continue to ban the Ahri and leave Tryndamere, which does seem to be a play here. And I think that's probably a smarter trade now that I think about it. Tryndamere definitely has a lot more weaknesses compared to something like the what is his other usual pick? Tryndamere is a lot less frequently picked in today's meta compared to the Ahri for sure.
Yeah, and Leong has only picked, you know, so handful of champions, and we started to see things a little bit different in this series already. But it's going to be the first pick Lee Sin here with that already taken off the board. So Husha is going to get a fairly early game champion to try and impact the lanes. Whereas on the Deep Cross side, we see the Aphelios. Well, Jinx is available. So Kriskata not wanting to get that Ahri counter pick against him. We also see Hana this time on the Viego.
Yeah, so DCG setting up for a very different team composition. I feel like DCG are actually more favored on the red side, even more than they are on the blue. A lot of their creativity picks are not meta picks, so that means they aren't contested, and you can still find them on the red side. So they get the extra benefit of still getting to play whatever comp they want, and also the counter pick on Leaky. I think that's the most massive thing in the entire match. As we said again, Beyond Gaming, super reliant on 1-3-1. If they cannot split these lanes apart, they typically find a ton of trouble. Ooh, and now this is super spicy.
Minji LeBlanc.
The best mid jungle historically, Lee Sin LeBlanc.
Yeah, I'm liking this. We'll see what Deep Cross find an answer for here. Nesty, I gotta admit, I think he showed his chops on a more assassin-y type of champion by playing the Ahri last time around. But this is much more in his wheelhouse. The Twisted Fate, you can already see the team composition starting to shape up here as they will be able to try to find some catch. It's a fair bit of CC. They do have the Viego for the resets. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first Viego we've seen out of Hana this split.
Checking here, and it is. This is going to be one of the few times that he goes for this. And as we said, Hana is much more of a team fighting jungler. I think his favorite picks are definitely Volibear and Hecarim. But this time around, DCG are playing for pick. They're once again swapping the boards with each other once more. You do have very strong side lane crowd control. You think about the Gravitum potential in the side lane. You have the Viego follow-up and just the gold card. It's extremely deadly. And Beyond Gaming are saying, we're not even going to try and match you in the late phases of the game. We're just going to go all early game with this Lee Sin and LeBlanc. So very interesting interactions, and I do expect this to be a very high kill game compared to the previous two.
Ooh, look at that. The Renata Glass Band coming out. Beyond Gaming, Woody definitely finding success on that champion in the later stages of game number 2, but so much more focused on the top side. Leaky's still going to have that counter pick, so we should see what the support choice is here for Woody.
Should just be Nautilus Leona.
Yeah, there's been a lot of these, although it's going to be an Enchanter this time. We got a Lulu coming in. Now, part of me feels like this could actually be like something like a Lulu top if they want to.
Yeah.
But I'm not even going to speculate at this point, Clement, because it's Deep Cross Gaming. They can do anything.
I think it's potentially viable. I think once again they're reading that there's probably going to be like just a Nautilus or a Leona coming in from the other side, so they can get away with a Lulu. And you know, Lulu does have that attack speed buff in the late game, so it does make Aphelios incredibly powerful, especially with the crescendoms that he can stack up. So interesting gambit here, but you really don't think of Woody as a Lulu player. We'll see how he pilots this.
Yeah. Blind Gnar for Beyond Gaming into Liang's hands. You know, I kind of harp on how I feel like Hanabi's the only person who should be allowed to do that in the league. Liang's maybe a second contender. I think he showed off okay with it in game number 1. But let's see what the counter matchup is here for Deep Cross. Look at that, Renekton. Okay. We're going to line things up here. And yeah, I mean, that does kind of fit into that like chase, pick, and catch.
Not a huge fan of the Renekton, but it does give them a stable CC lane to start their aggression off on. So I do expect DCG to just be throwing everything constantly into Leaky's lane. But at the end of the day, it's still pretty hard for Renekton to do that much in the side lanes against Gnar. So a very interesting pick. I was actually expecting the Kennen to come in.
Yeah, I thought Gangplank maybe.
Yeah, Gangplank. Yep, Gangplank fits too, but it is. I feel like if you want to play Gangplank, you need hardcore control on your support. So just looking at the overall game plan, Beyond Gaming obviously very focused on mid jungle. They are basically saying that we are going to tear apart your side lane gank strategy by killing your Twisted Fate so often that you can't pull it off. That's their idea of the game plan. On the other side, you have a very clear pattern for DCG of just going topside. You have Renekton that can shut the wave early on. He has great wave clear, so can instantly push against the Gnar. And then underneath the tower, you're going to get cut off by the Viego and the Twisted Fate coming from most likely behind your own tower. So it's a very telegraphed strategy, but I don't think there's much you can do against it. Like, if you look at the picks, you have to assume that Leon is going to have a very poor game. So what that means is Beyond Gaming, they have to win through the other two lanes. And I do see a lot of focus if they get the first couple of ganks down or not is going to decide whether they win or not.
Absolutely. But Beyond are a team that have been unafraid to lay those sort of stakes on the line. Both these teams tied at 1-1 here in the opening round of the playoffs. Of course, with the double elimination bracket, it does mean that even the losers here today will have another chance to fight it out, whereas the winners will go on to face up against the likes of PSG Talon, the defending champions, as we get things underway here. Not too many surprises in the start as far as our Keystone runes are concerned. Taking a look, of course, at all of the summoners. Also, no major surprises there.
Yeah, nothing that pops out too much. Once again, Beyond Gaming is going to have a good level 1. They will spot out where Hana is going to be starting out here. And looking across the board, you should expect DCG to have both of the top and the bottom lane pushing. So I don't think this Viego is going to run into that many problems versus the Lee Sin. He should still be able to at least split the scuttles going later into the game. So I think DCG is going to have a fairly decent early game. The problem is if Viego is spotted on the map, that does allow Minji and Husha to go for very extreme ganks into the mid lane. You know, we could be seeing some three-camp gank, which is pretty common with the Lee Sin.
Yeah, and that's the type of thing that we were saying was likely from the draft, likely from the style. I think Beyond Gaming, you know, are at their best when they can get those plays off early on. And we're actually going to see already Wako and Kino trying to get a little bit of engage down. Woody taking a little bit of poke, not too much, of course, in this matchup. That 2v2 down bot we can never take for granted won't end in a kill, as we have seen.
Yeah, but I feel like this lane, if DCG want to play it just with a shove style, they should be able to prevail. In the meantime, Leaky actually doing a pretty decent job at trading down the HP coming in from Liang right here. Again, this is not a very easy lane for a Renekton to hang into most of the time, but at least he's landing all of his Qs inside the trading phase. And surprisingly enough, DCG actually going to pull this one.
Ooh, Woody onto the snap traps he goes as well. They really want to secure that first, but Cascada, what was he doing there? He's burning, flashing forward the shield, though. Wako miscalculating on that. And what started out as a pretty great trade for Beyond actually turns in Deep Cross's favor as they're going to bring Husha in. Spotted on the River Ward, though.
Overall, in terms of the HP, still a massive blunder by DCG as they get hit by a double Flame Chomper. This does mean that Woody is in somewhat of an execution range if Husha does find it, but he will stay alive here, and we should see the fight now moving towards the jungle.
Yeah, Nom's a lot of biscuits, Woody healing up here, and now the blue buff is under contest. Hana going to need a little help if he wants to get this back for himself. They actually didn't even quite decide on. Oh, the flash in Kino! And oh my goodness, everyone just bails out of that one as the blue is secured by Husha. So advantage Beyond Gaming. Very aggressive start to this game down bot.
Yeah, that was a great flash trade coming in from Kino. He gets the flash from Hana instantly, and that does mean that his other lanes get to stay a lot safer. Usually, you can't really expect Viego to get ganks off without the flash stun, so Spectral Maw is going to be a lot less potent in that one. It might look a little bit desperate, but I think it actually ends up being a very good trade coming in from the side of Nautilus.
Yeah, I think that's a great start here. Beyond Gaming. You would have thought after the last two games, a really good opener, I think a surprise for a number of people, ourselves included, that they were coming out of the gate swinging so hard and trying something so different. Have looked good in team fights, but last game, things just fell apart a little at the end. It was Deep Cross Gaming that had the edge, that had an opener, and it was Beyond Gaming. They got a little bit punished for some complacency. This time around, Beyond are taking absolutely no chances and sticking with that trademark style of heavy aggression in the laning phase across the board.
Yeah, again, Leaky actually outplaying Leon a little bit right here. Anticipates where the wallop is going to land and throws some damage back with the Ruthless Predator. Should be able to pick off this wave quite easily. And essentially what we're waiting here for is the level 6. I feel like DCG has done a great job at keeping Nessie alive, keeping the Lee Sin LeBlanc combo from really working. And afterwards, it's going to be all about the top side. As long as they don't lose too hard in the bottom side, I feel like they should be able to execute a top-focused strategy quite well here.
You're right, but that is a bit of an if, right? Certainly the case when Wako and Kino are going to be gunning for him. Going to be waiting for Sums to probably come back up for a little bit before things are all said and done, but we do want to keep our eye on that mid lane because while Husha has made a trip down bottom here, whatever, mind, we'll talk about that in a minute.
What?
As they've got the root down under Cascada again, but the Polymorph comes in to buy a little bit of time as they're able to limp away, but still the trade in favor of Beyond Gaming's bottom side.
This is pretty disgusting. How is Kino able to find all of these dredge lines essentially inside the minion wave?
He's threading the needle.
You're not supposed to win this lane, but Kino is definitely making it work. And I think DCG, they now might consider changing their game plan a little bit and going for the bottom side instead, but I feel like that's a lot riskier given the 4v4. Like the 3v3 I feel like is solidly in DCG's favor, but the 4v4 not exactly so.
Yeah, it's a lot of tricky math to try and handle on the fly, I think, so definitely trying to play a little bit further back here. They are going to back away from the Dragon. Hana had opened that one up, but Husha sniffs it out, does actually re-aggro it, and that's one thing you can do as a Lee Sin that you have a little bit of a harder time doing as a Viego on your own. However, we might get a full contest here. It's actually 3v2 until Wako joins, and we're going to even those odds as well as Nesty comes in. The Polymorph comes down onto Husha. First blood picked up by Nesty, and now Wako is caught in a world of hurt. Another massive hook, this time, though, courtesy of Hana, as he was able to take that one in the Viego and reset city, baby.
I feel like Beyond Gaming's calculations were right to start the fight off, but their execution was very lacking, especially with the coordination with Minji. Like, he was way too far from the scene, and he actually wasn't keeping tabs on Nesty either. Like, if you're keeping tabs on this, yes, you can actually take this fight, but that was not the case right there. I feel like the more I look at this is a miscommunication where Minji said, yes, I can stop the TF, but he didn't end up stopping the TF, and they just collapsed completely. If you look at the minimap, it was very, very close, but Nesty still got out.
Yeah, and not only that, he got 2 kills off the back of it. So the game plan to shut him down is a little bit a little scuffed right now, Clement. Yeah, that's unfortunate if you are Beyond Gaming.
Yeah, that's it's definitely interesting. Beyond Gaming, the reason I said they should be able to win the 4v4 is because they do have extra engage coming in from the side of their support. So it's a bit easier to pick the fights. Usually, you know, hard engage supports do fare out better in these river skirmishes. But to me, that was a very clear miscommunication that just they thought Ninja would be able to make this a 3v3. Didn't really happen. And with that, it does mean that Nesty, now further accelerated with the build, is going to be able to push out his lane a lot easier and find those opportunities to go into whichever lane he so chooses to. Now, the bot lane still looks like it's going in favor of Beyond Gaming, and something I'm very surprised about is that Kriskata actually didn't get any assists in that one, so it didn't actually change the bot lane calculations as much as DCG would have wanted it to.
And they're being forced away from the farm as well. Husha keeping the pressure on down on this bottom side. Got to be careful not to push too far forward, but he's got some assistance. Kino and Wako there. And this is just a full-on bullying in the 2v2. They're just not even letting them get anywhere near the minions. And if they can keep the Aphelios down, that's certainly a way back into this early game. But you have to worry when Operation Shutdown Nesty has been an absolute failure. Now it's going to be the push on to Liang. Dive here for Nesty and Hana. Will he see this coming? Does have a full Narbar.
I think he's just going to play for wave clear.
Nesty?
Here, only opportunity.
Nesty fully tanking the turrets, actually forced to flash away, but they do take down Liang. Okay, so a bit of a wonky moment, but it does result in the kill.
Yeah, definitely could have saved the flash, but they had overwhelming firepower, and with the Herald there, they don't even need to use the Herald. They should be able to just straight up strip the top lane tower. We always knew this was happening, and I think once again, Leaky will be able to flip the matchup. If you look at the CS difference here, that was a pretty brutal timing for Leon to die in front of such a massive minion wave. So I think we will see just basically Gnar not being able to split push this Renekton until very much later into the game.
Rift Herald ended up hopping in the middle. There should be a few more plates. In fact, they might be able to finish it. Oh no, Minji walks right up and gets stunned in the gold card, but they don't really have the follow-up damage. So last plate's going to finish. And Deep Cross Gaming just cashing in on gold on 2 sides of the map, whereas Beyond are going to have to be content with just the bottom.
Yeah, very critically, Hana is getting incredibly fed at this point. He might be getting an early Divine Thunder coming out from him, and you know, it's always important to kind of keep note of Viego growth, because if they get fed enough, we have seen Viegos just go for Blade of the Ruin King and start split pushing themselves. It's definitely a possibility. And when you're playing a reset composition with low damage in your mid game, in your mid lane, it's always very important for this Viego to find things, and here he goes.
Kino stepping a little too far forward, doesn't get too punished for it, luckily. Still a pretty tanky boy on that Nautilus. So he walks away, but yeah, you gotta be careful pushing your luck into that jungle, even though you've controlled that side of the map for a little while now. It's not a foregone conclusion. Deep Cross with 3 kills, unanswered by Megabank Beyond Gaming. Only have the dragon to show for it. Still hanging onto this tower. However, how did Kino hit that hook? And the polymorph is the only thing that buys a second, but in comes Minji looking for the kill. He's able to do it. Here we go, Hana on the follow-through. Minji is so low over the wall into the Heartbreaker. He does manage to secure himself the kill onto LeBlanc.
Beautiful Spectral Maw coming in from Hana right here. Actually predicts the distort from Minji, so able to delay the death until he can find the comeback kill, and this is going to be a real problem down the line. The Viego 2-0 and 2, and with the delay, they should be able to chunk down this mid lane tower. And Nessie's going to play this a little bit safer in that one, but that was such a critical play coming in to make sure the trade at least happens for the side. But once again, if Beyond Gaming find a win in this game, I feel like Kino 100% is the MVP. This laning phase should not have gone the way of Beyond Gaming. There was no way that, you know, in this double range lane where you can constantly just shove, should Kino be able to engage whenever he wants to.
Yeah, that's It's the saving grace for how things are going, because elsewhere across the map, it's definitely not looking so hot. As predicted, that Divine Sunderer does come in 12 minutes on the clock. You also see Nesty getting his Mythic completed as well around that same time, but pressure still being put here by the Beyond Gaming side. Blast Cone taken by Husha. Hana and that Harrowed Path going to just stare down Kino as this tower is yet to fall. With all the pressure, we've actually not seen any towers taken out this game. I do think that should change soon. We'll keep an eye up topside as well, as Leaky really getting the edge over Leong, who's Narbard's just now coming back up, and looks like Deep Cross are able to stiff arm Mega Beyond Gaming. Wait a second, that channel completes. Oh boy, all of a sudden the numbers are changed a little bit. Really good Flame Chopper from Wako is going to deny the push. Meanwhile, back up top, Narbar run out. Leaky is also taking a little bit more chunk down. But yeah, this Renekton has been doing so much in the farm game. A 30 CS advantage over Leong.
Yeah, just very powerful start coming in from him. DCG, I feel like they could have played a little bit more aggressive with that previous game. They did have
Speaking of aggressive,
too.
That's going to be the Nautilus Ultimate, and Kriskata is focused, but oh, they just have so much damage. That Moonlight Vigil
What auto attack
didn't really do enough as Wako running wild on the Chompers, on the Rockets. It does mean Woody gets Wild Growth off to save his own life, but oh boy, finally going to get that first tower down in favor of Beyond Gaming. And it's a race there for first brick as Nesty and Leaky are there as well.
Nesty! Oh!
They get it! Wow.
Pretty huge for the mid lane here, and see if Hana can
be
find
dead
Spectral Maw.
Okay, he dodges it. Lay the Rune King does come in, though. Okay, he's able to walk away. No harm, no foul, but I'm actually surprised Beyond lost out on first brick there.
Yeah, I feel like they actually retreated most of their members. Now, I will say first break matters a lot less this late into the game for sure. And they're probably looking for the earlier reset onto Herald. So, you know, it's not a massive blunder by any means. I'm just kind of surprised that they got that engaged so easily on the side of Kino. Once again, just great stuff on this Nautilus. He got a 3-man def charge going into that skirmish. And that was a fight that DCG thought they were somewhat safe in. They didn't expect the full-on engage coming in whatsoever. And they actually lost out quite hard. So, you know, good calculations on the side of Beyond Gaming to find the kill and the tower into that one. And let's see if the Super Mega Death Rocket can find it. Oh my god.
So close. That was actually so incredibly close. And even with the reduced AoE damage on monsters, you thought that was going through there. And nevertheless, Deep Cross will equalize on Drakes. They get the Infernal for themselves. It's going to be a Mountain Rift coming up as well. And that actually, I feel like that means a fair bit for Beyond here, actually. Even though, you know, they didn't really execute as much on the jungle mid. I think Leong, in the right position, could set up a big Gnar that could turn some fights against that extra terrain.
Yeah, I definitely see that as well. You know, we are going to go into more of the Drake-oriented teamfight scenarios. However, talking about the trade that we have in hand, the bottom lane for the Herald and top, I do feel like this actually favors DCG a little bit. They do want to get out of their natural lanes, and they do want to pick up their mythics. I think most importantly, they're still lacking those. So a trade is completely acceptable for them at this point in the game. And we do have a Mountain Drake, a Mount Soul coming up into the next team fight, which actually is pretty important for both of these teams because they both rely quite heavily on picks and resets. So getting that Mount Soul will mean that a lot more time is given for the other team members to respond if someone gets picked out.
Yeah, so we should definitely see the teams hard contesting on that one as we go forward. Minji moving up into the top side of the map to make Leaky's life a little bit harder, and Minji has definitely had a respectable performance so far on this LeBlanc. We just haven't necessarily seen the shutdown Nesty potential. He's been able to dodge out of a lot of danger and had a pretty big impact in this early game, but it's going to be Deep Cross actually pushing down the mid lane themselves. Let's see if that tags over to the actual lane and not just on the mini-map. And 3-man squad of Kriskata, Woody, and Hana trying to find an opportunity, trying to find an opening, but here comes Minji over the wall, gets the root down, and they turn it. He does bounce back, and here's the follow-up from Husha, and it's actually going to be Hana shut down. That's a lot of gold straight into Husha's pocket.
Great find on the side of Beyond Gaming right there. Even though Minji gets caught out, I believe, with the stun once again from Hana, they're still able to clean it up quite nicely. Wild Growth used on the support themselves, so Hana has no real chance of getting away from that one. I do feel like they went a little bit too deep. I think they were actually aiming for a surround on the top side, but oh, here comes Friscata.
Yeah, that Moonlight Vigil, that was massive. Can they get Wako, though? They just need a little bit on the red card. Nesty is able to find the kill, and that's big for Deep Cross. Shelly's still doing work in the mid lane right now. They've got to finish the job, but she does not finish the tower. Crucial deletion on Wako.
Yeah, that was a beautiful timing coming in from Nesty. He just finished his rapid fire cannon, so probably threw a wrench into the calculations for Beyond Gaming. Gets the kill. Now the question is, can Leaky get away?
He's certainly going to try, looking for a wall that he can dice his way over. No, he's pulled back by Kino into the Dominus. Do they have the damage? Husha a little bit low in this one. Liang miscalculates where his teammates are going to be as Narbar comes up a little bit late, so Leaky does manage to get away. Here's the replay of that fight, though, again. It all started by a huge combination. Wako just from the minute one could not get into a safe position, and Nesty really made those cards stretch on the rapid fire cannon.
And this is why they picked the Aphelios over the Jinx, you know. DCG, they played 8 games of Jinx for Criscata and far less games for the Aphelios, but since Aphelios had that long-range Graviton, you can make those picks happen a lot more often, and it was also just synced up so well with the first back of the rapid fire cannon, so able to catch Beyond Gaming off guard there. And I think this is a very strong setup going into the next Drake. If you look at the mini-map here, Beyond Gaming still have triple pinks that they need to clear through if they want to secure the positioning here. And this is very important for them to do because they don't really have a front-to-back team comp. If you look at the comps, I would favor DCG a lot more.
Okay. Hana does get stopped up, but for all the damage, or all the abilities expended, he doesn't take a lot of damage, so Deep Cross should be able to reset off that one. As you mentioned, triple pinks to clear. There was still one sitting down there a lot closer to the bottom lane for Deep Cross. Were they wanting to get a flank off the back of it? Of course, Nesty has 2 teleports available to him. Leaky doesn't have his, whereas Liang and Minji do have access to that critical summoner spell. 19 minutes on the game clock right now. Beyond Gaming looking to set some bait here. Liang making himself look tasty. But Deep Cross aren't biting on this. They're waiting to get a pincer of their own. Here comes Hana, Spectral Maw. They find Kino, and a huge amount of stun before Liang can even transform. He's deleted off the map right now, and the chase is on here. Nesty and Hana leading the charge to get another stun off. That's going to be huge. The kickback doesn't even matter as Wako's out of this one. That has got to be the Dragon contest. Here comes Leaky around the side. Into the Dominus he goes. And they should be able to keep the chase going as he slices and dices his way over the wall. The hook not going to land. Goodbye, Kino. And Nesty picking up another kill for himself. Deep Cross with a massive edge.
It was a very bad position for Beyond Gaming. They tried to use the Gnar as bait to get a favorable engage, but they didn't see Hana. Hana just pops over the wall, lands a critical stun, everyone able to follow up. Red card with the rapid fire cannon for the double slowdown, and then Hana once again finds the W. You know, we were talking about this being the first Viego game from Hana, but it seems like he's made those 12 days of practice really work out for him.
Oh, I think so too. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he'd be spamming that champion in solo queue. Let's take a look at this play again. Hana, good setup, but of course, the root, the burst, no chance for Liang, and all of a sudden, you get yourself the Gnar. Nesty comes around the side. Destiny Gate doesn't even need to take it, and oh man, the kickback, it's already too late. Wako's a dead man.
Nowhere for him to go in that one, and you know, Leaky tries to cut out the back here, and this is what I was talking about with Beyond Gaming. Their compositions are very difficult to execute. They don't go into 5v5s well, they're not front to back oriented, they have to find flanks, and if you look at the kill score right here, I feel like Minji doesn't have the burst potential in this game. He's not going for the Luden's Echo, it's an Everfrost build. He's also going for a healing reduction too, so it's even though they do get a cheeky steal, I feel like Minji's basically half a champion at this point.
Yeah, that's the trouble, right? I mean, they focused a lot, Deep Cross, I mean, focused a lot on banning him out and trying to deny him some of the more comfortable champions. His LeBlanc just not on the same level. He did manage to get a kill back, but it wasn't enough. Here we go. Once again, they engage on the Twisted Fate. Sends Beyond Gaming scattered. However, as they regroup here, it's Nesty that actually finds himself a little bit bursted down. Liang finally hits him with the boomerang. Hana a little bit low, and now the retreat is on. Ooh, polymorph in. That's pretty crucial right here. But will it be enough? Chris got it. Kick back in goes. Once again, Husha for the kill. Hana taken low. Hana not taken down, however. And they find a 1-4-2 trade. Beyond Gaming still trying to knock down this tier 1 in the mid lane.
Yeah, really good play coming in from Beyond Gaming. They notice the stopwatch is gone from Nesty. They're able to turn on him and basically sever the entire team composition. Just incredible angle from Liang. You basically make sure that the backline carry cannot follow up on the fight that was started in the front. We'll watch this again. I believe it was an instant TP coming in on the side of Liang right here. A good dodge by Minji, you know, making sure they could turn the situation. Liang comes in. Lee Sin holds his ground, make sure the damage can't fall off from the backside, take off the mid lane first, and they even get another hero hook from Kino to make sure this Aphelios just cannot get fed whatsoever. This is such an insane performance from Kino.
Yeah, he's just been nailing hook after hook, and setting up for these kills. I really just think Beyond Gaming are so good at sticking on targets when they actually find an opening, and Kino gives them so many of those.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. I didn't expect this bot lane to win. I didn't expect them to turn around these fights. And we are getting to the phase where Gnar is expected to take over the Renekton. Unfortunately for Leaky, none of these kills have actually gone his way. So his impact in this side lane is going to diminish. And what that means is we should be able to see a lot more situations where Beyond Gaming can just roam and play a two-man game with Liang or this LeBlanc coming in to help him, like we did see in the earlier game.
Ooh, they're going to go ahead and look for a kill onto Liang right now, but Minji follows through. Do they have enough left? They do! Nesty's going to be claiming another one, and Minji now on the run. Gold card in hand. Nesty looks to chase down. There's the dash to Stort. Going to be back to safety. But Deep Cross throwing their weight around here, Clement. Certainly looking like a team together, and Hana and Nesty are going to be the ones to watch as we move forward, grabbing the lion's share of kills between the two of them.
Yeah, I do like the play from DCG. They will come in a little bit sooner than the TP, burst damage onto the Gnar, and Liang unfortunately wasn't able to get his Mega Gnar in that fight, just fell down in mini Gnar form, so easy pickings right there. And if we look at the itemizations from Minji, right, I don't really find this to be optimal. He is building into the Morello, but I understand the healing reduction is for Hana, but you also have that on the Gnar as well, and I think he needs far more burst damage to be relevant rather than going for this build. This is... I feel like this build is just kind of conceding to the fact that he's probably just utility and not going to have the same one-shot potential as you normally do on the LeBlanc.
Yeah, I think they're going to be relying a lot in this later game on Wako right now. I mean, their composition was certainly built a little bit more for the early game. I suppose you could argue Liang is going to have a lot as well, but it's on the side lanes. Deep Cross are just outplaying at the moment. Next Dragon going to be coming up in a moment. It's a 4-stack of Deep Cross members. They do see Woody getting nailed by that Sonic Wave. A little bit of extra damage. Rocket comes in. Woody's a little bit on the low side. He does have access to his ultimate, though, Wild Growth, and they're going to be able to go in without that Jinx ult. They are feeling a little bit more confident that they won't be executed here as the Dragon does get started. Woody a little behind the curve here. Spectral Maw gets the stun off onto Liang. Here comes Minji around the side looking for the deletion, but Hana stiff arms him. Dragon contest is on, down to 3,000 hit points. Where's it going? Flame Chomper's going through. Hana waiting around. It's going to be a smite fight, and it's taken away by Hana. That is going to be the Drake stack built by Deep Cross. Fight on once again. Minji getting chased away here as Leaky just trying to be the front line. Destiny Gate. Nesty waiting, gets a little bit caught into the gold card, and that's going to be enough to net him another kill. Even though Hana gets hooked back, kicked back, doesn't even matter. Griscata opening up, well protected in this 5v5. And Beyond are going to be scattered for the hills here. Spectral Mod doesn't land on the Minji, doesn't quite stretch where it needed to. But 2 kills on the Dragon, absolutely you'll take that as Deep Cross.
Oh, Beyond Gaming just lost their patience in that one. Kino in the end, thinking that they found so much poke, goes in, but he instantly gets obliterated, and that gives the reset over to Hana. they have to play with so much more patience because their flanking champions just don't do damage. Like, Minji can find a combo on Nesty and do nothing, but maybe Wako can change it.
Oh! What, he's already down.
The Baron finishes off.
It was way too much. This is getting a little chaotic right now. Now Leaky trying to save the day. All of a sudden, things are nuts. Wako is going to try and get a kill back. That was a secure of the Nash, but oh, you got to get away with it now. And it's going to be Husha taken down, but Kriskata chased down by the Rockets. Now Hana going to give his life for this one. Even if you get the Baron, if you lose everyone, it doesn't matter. Nesty is going to get away, and you got to ask, was it worth it, Deep Cross?
Oh my god, I can't believe this is the end of what happened right there. I feel like Leaky kind of got baited by the positioning where Wako was going to come from, and he wasn't in the front lines. Instead, Woody just, I think he died even with his ultimate up, perhaps. Yep. Didn't expect to get taken down by the Baron. We're going to see if he actually had the cooldown, first starting from the initial fight. I think the most important thing right here is just Kino just kind of getting antsy and throwing his hook out. I think he miscalculated and didn't take into effect that he would land the hook onto the mountain wall. Like he thought, oh, if I don't land the hook, then it'll still be safe. But if you look at this hook, he actually goes in, and that's kind of a death sentence for him, unfortunately. And that's just Reset City. You can see Hana, he takes the Nautilus, gets the extra crowd control, is able to snowball this fight. Liang doesn't get to make an impact even with the ultimate, and we don't get to see the Baron, but that was a huge turn of events here, and we do see Wako picking a lot more kills, going into the triple items and the Quicksilver here. So This is a huge power spike, and Beyond Gaming out of nowhere gets given a lifeline.
Yeah, that was those kills were pretty much just a gift into Wako's hands. We were just talking about how late into this game, that's the insurance policy of this early game composition. You need the Jinx to be online, and all of a sudden she is. Now there's going to be a catch here on to the Gnar. Liang caught between three members as Hana's looking to cut him off here. Heartbreaker into the Gnar, ult on the wall. Tags Minji. They get the kickback onto Leaky. Nobody dies, but Kino is about to change that as he goes in. The team does not follow, however, and down goes the Beyond Gaming support. Flashes burned as Beyond are running for the hills here. Minji and Husha still looking for a shutdown, and they will be able to find something, but it is Deep Cross that are looking oh so much better. Minji trying to bait out, and he does successfully bamboozle Husha, or Hana I should say, but it doesn't matter. With the one Baron on Nesty, they are making it work.
This could very much be the end of the game here. There's still 25 seconds on Wako, and he's the main wave clear. You can't really do the same with Minji. Looks like DCG are going to play a little bit safer in this one, but that was such an odd turn of events. A really good escape by Leon, but Kino kind of just threw everything away. I feel like he got a little... Okay, that damage clearly went through, but it was in the last half second there, so the back still goes through. Right. Once again, I just feel like Kino in these two fights has been way too angsty with the engages. They need to have more patience. They need to wait for LeBlanc to actually put damage on this composition before they get into that Jinx kill range. But Kino just kind of losing his mind in the last two fights here.
And here's how it all started, though. It was a chase on Liang. Meanwhile, we can't talk about this fight because we got another one going on, and again, it's going to be Kino getting caught. This time, he's at least on the retreat path, but they managed to turn these things around. Leaky going to be taking up a lot of rocket poke. That hook does not land. Kino's dredge line can't stretch quite that far, and Hana on the front line now gets turned once again. Husha regrouping with the rest of the team. This is Mountain Soul in 15 seconds. Both teams are going to try and reset for it, but with an open inhibitor, or rather a downed inhibitor up top, this is going to be tough. Husha waiting in the wings, not going to go for the back here. Teleport comes through. Dragon spawns. Hana's a little low. Minji, that's burst. They've got a lot of damage onto Woody. Not enough, though. And you've got a timer. Beyond Gaming cannot let this go away. Keep your eyes on Husha.
He's trying to find a flank angle, but I think what he needs to do is actually kick the back line away. The front line isn't even that important.
Waiting for the Destiny Gate. This is going to go down to a smite fight again. It gets taken. Hana's smite is right, and they cannot take this fight. Leaky on the chase. The rest of Beyond Gaming scattered, running for the hills, and they've lost everything. They may not have lost a member, but they're losing their base. And they couldn't contest on the Drake.
Yeah, that was a heist situation for Beyond Gaming. At this point, they just don't have the damage outside of Wako to do anything. So they want to just try and steal the Drake. And DCG did a very good job. You know, CC chained Lee Sin up, and Hana was able to win the smite fight onto that one. Now they're just pushing down onto the base, and this is no wave clear from the mid lane. With the Mountain Drake as well, the damage difference is going to be absolutely massive here. If we need to find a win, we have to get an Insect. I don't see how Beyond Gaming are going to take a 5v5 without it.
Usha has to be the hero. Meanwhile, Deep Cross pushing on 2 lanes, while a third is pushing of its own volition with those super minions. Inhibitor already down to half health. Frescata poking out a little far ahead, but he does have the minion wave to his advantage now. Wako trying to Nesty. That's the gold card instantly cleansed by Wako, and nothing's turned just a little bit. Do they get enough damage? As you see Husha going in, but the worst is real as Frescata sends them all to the grave with a massive Moonlight Vigil. Husha, the last man standing, and that will not be enough. Deep Cross Gaming gonna close this one out with an absolute bada boom. Oh my goodness, Clement! What a crazy series we've had as it goes up 2-1 for Deep Cross.
200 years is still in the house. What an amazing finish right there! Heartbreaker strike straight into the Moonlight Vigil, deletes Beyond Gaming. 3 members instantly go down, and that will be DCG coming into game point 2-1 over Beyond Gaming. I think if you take this game holistically, again, Minji, even with the blue side priority, wasn't able to find impact in this game. He went for a super low damage build. Even though he got a lot of Everfrost down, they just could not contest the 5v5s. This is how we saw Beyond Gaming sort of falter in the second half of the split as well. Despite how good their ceiling might look, a lot of the times they still can't fight the gravity of the late game being about those big objective fights, and they really had no say whatsoever when it came to those portions of the game.
Yeah, it was Deep Cross that were choosing all those fights in the situation, the few things that Beyond tried to force. It was desperation. Man, you really got to hand it to the execution of not only Hana, but the rest of Deep Cross around those objectives. Well, we'll not talk about the Baron. We don't have to talk about that one. It actually still worked out, all things considered, despite the fact that they fed Wako a number of kills off the back of it. Nesty got away, and they still were able to use that to break the base up top. I mean, this Deep Cross team knows how to use what they get, even if the execution is sometimes a little bit scuffed. It's definitely been better more often than not. Nesty played excellent, and right at the end there, man, Hana and Frescata comboing up. This is why we talk about this hotshot rookie delivering. And he talked about it, 200 years on the Aphelios, absolutely still relevant. He may not be quite as popular as he has been in the earlier phases of the split, but you can see why they wanted to make this play, Clement. What a brilliant move by Deep Cross as they go up 2-1.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting coming in from this one. And I do like the draft for DCG. Once again, they've always had very holistic drafts with clear goals, and this one is about just punishing teams that try to siege. They do have the late game edge with the Viego here as well. So I really like this composition, and I do want to mention what we're seeing in terms of the trends of this series. And again, it's Leaky being able to survive on unfavorable matchups, and somehow Beyond Gaming's bottom lane able to win out on unfavorable matchups as well. So I feel like both teams, it's very interesting to see both of these teams kind of go for what I would say more about balancing acts, is that they are perfectly willing to leave the lanes that they're actually stronger on to their own devices and then focus elsewhere. So it's kind of like a balancing act, and I wonder if that will shift, because in terms of League of Legends strategy, it's actually much more efficient to invest in your winning lanes. So I want to see if Beyond Gaming try to find just a dominating bottom lane, because they clearly are the superior 2v2, and try to push through that way, and whether we will see a shifting gear perhaps from the side of DCG and try to push through on winning matchups. Like, once again, the Gwen's still open. So
yeah,
I want to see
it
if
hasn't
they
been taken
go
at
for
all
that
today.
side.
Yeah,
So
the top side, yeah, Gwen Prio definitely dropping really unexpectedly here for us. But another thing I really want to talk about is I think the expectation versus what's happened in the mid lane. We looked at Minji. He's gotten a handful of these assassin picks. Obviously, it's LeBlanc, definitely not as good as some of his other champion choices, like the Ahri, like the Akali. But Nesty, 2 out of 3 games has just turned up, and I think that's something that Beyond, I don't think we're prepared for, or we're calculating for. They didn't really do enough to try and shut him down. And on this Twisted Fate, he was setting up pick after pick after pick. You got to think that's hitting the ban column again.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Looking at this series, I feel like Beyond Gaming might be willing to drop the Rise pick and ban the Twisted Fate instead. I feel like Twisted Fate gets online a lot faster.
Yeah, I think, Nesty has such a large champion pool, but at the same time, there are very clearly a couple that he can do a lot more with. This Twisted Fate is one of them. We've seen his Vigar shut down a number of times, like we saw in the Beyond win. I think you can maybe not like freely give that away, but you know that he can't match roam pressure, and that's the important thing. Is whenever Nesty can roam, whenever Nesty can make global plays, that's when he's a danger. He's not necessarily going to be the one like steamrolling the lane, but you need to deny him the ability to get around the map and help, whether it's the balancing act or whether they're trying to snowball on a lane. So if Beyond Gaming want to stay alive in the series, I think they need to do something like that. They got a bit of a lifeline. The Jinx got fed a little bit, but it just wasn't enough. And Hana is going to be the one to earn the MVP. And I think that is rightly earned. There were a lot of fights that turned quite sharply on his Heartbreaker. And also, this man just didn't miss a smite.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane what he's done. I really like what he did in the first Drake fight, actually going behind enemy lines to make sure he was going to be able to surprise, add the extra crowd control, and find the pick onto Liang, gives him the Drake. And throughout all of these fights, he's actually used his hard crowd control so well onto Minji. I think the problem with Minji not being able to snowball is mainly due to Hana just catching him out on distorts over and over again. Like, he was able to mind read wherever Minji was going to do and just stop him from actually collecting kills, forced him onto a super low damage build. And even in the Drake chase downs as well, we saw him just finding Wako over and over again. So I'm super impressed. I didn't think Hana actually had this pick in his pocket whatsoever. I thought he was going to go pure team fight, but he's showing up that he can be a main carry, a main damage dealer a lot of times when Nesty is not going to be packing as much in that department.
Absolutely. Showing a lot of range. It's certainly the best time for it, as the playoffs are where it all counts. Up 2-1. It is match point for Deep Cross Gaming. They just need one win, and they will be moving on forward against PSG. Can they do it? We'll find out after this break.